Deputy Speaker, every week for a quarter of a century, there's been a funeral for a veteran who has taken their own life. Every week, another battle lost. Every week, another family devastated. Every week, another child loses their mum or dad, their hero. The infantrymen that I served with are twice as likely to die by suicide than other Australian men. Women who have served in a combat role die by suicide at a rate that is more than 4.5 times that of other Australian women. Those are statistics that every Australian should be concerned about. Statistics that every member of this parliament should be ashamed of. This is not about politics. Both the Labor Party and the LNP have failed veterans in the last quarter of a century. In my first speech to Parliament, I recounted my experiences from 2013 when, after returning from Afghanistan, I was at home and I began to wonder if I'd be better off ending my life so that I'd not be a burden on my family, and I'd work out how to do it. I spoke of one afternoon when my wife Anna cancelled her shift as a police officer to be by my side, and I reflected on how different things might have been had she not done that. Deputy Speaker, service in the Australian Army was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, but service in the military comes at a cost. After that day in 2013, I was diagnosed with PTSD, a consequence of my military service in Afghanistan and Timor-Leste. And while the impact of my PTSD has lessened over time, the truth is that I will always carry the effects of my service. 10 years later, I still lay awake at night, afraid to go to sleep, fearful of the flashbacks that are still far too often. 10 years later, too often I'm unreasonably irritable and agitated. 10 years later, I still place myself in the back corner of a room so I can watch the door. And 10 years later, I still flinch every time there's a loud noise. And Deputy Speaker, while I've accepted that I will live with the mental scars of my service, what I will not accept is that future generations must face the same fate. Deputy Speaker, I am the 4th generation of my family who've served in the ADF. I suspect I won't be the last. My sons and daughters, our sons and daughters, cannot be failed as past generations of veterans have been failed. There is no shortage of goodwill towards veterans, but goodwill alone will not address the scourge of veteran suicide. One simple step that all veterans can take is to commit to donating their brain to the Australian Veteran Brain Bank. The Veteran Brain Bank is a tissue bank that will facilitate research on disorders of the brain amongst ADF veterans. Veterans can donate their brain, and hopefully that information gained can be used to better diagnose and support future generations of veterans. When I die, I've committed my brain to the brain bank, and I encourage other veterans to also consider taking this simple but significant step. Deputy Speaker, the Defence of Veterans Suicide Royal Commission have done their job, and now it's time for governments at all levels to do their job and implement the recommendations. Anything less will be failing our veterans.